All right, what's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another live stream. How are we all doing? As usual, I'm gonna need a quick audio visual check from all of you just to let me know that we're good to go for this live stream here. Let me know if you can see me okay and if you can hear me okay. How are we all doing today, ladies and gents? Let's see who we've got in the live chat today. Where in the world are we today? Where in the world is Bitcoin today? We're going to be going into that. If you are a little bit worried, a lot a bit worried, very worried about this Bitcoin price action. If you're not worried and if you're chilling like me, I want to know. So let me know in the live chat down below, how are we feeling about all this price action? Are we holding it down? Or are we starting to get very worried? As you are coming in, ladies and gents, smash those likes up. We've got something very important happening during this live stream, which is the S&P 500 Monday Weekly Open. This is one of the most important events for crypto right now, in my opinion. I really don't want to hype things up unnecessarily beyond what they need to be. But with this current price action, if the S&P 500 does something, anything other than good, I think we're in trouble. And I think that could really be what knocks Bitcoin down. There's a lot of traditional finance we're going to be looking at today. There's a lot of other bits we're going to be covering. But before we get into any of that, ladies and gents, I need you to smash those likes up for another emergency live stream. If you are feeling worried about this price action, you won't be by the end of this stream. You won't even be worried about it in 15 minutes from now, okay? And that's even if we're going down, you still won't be worried. We have so much to cover with you in this live stream. We have so much to cover in this live stream. Let's see who's in the live chat today. Welcome, everybody, to another live stream. We've got about 250 viewers, about 30 likes being smashed up. Let's pump that up even higher if we can. What's up, Sue P, watching from Scotland? I think this is the first time I've ever been early to a live stream. Well, I apologize for being slightly late, but thank you for joining us promptly today. Can someone tell the CEO of Bitcoin to make it go back up, please? Well, sir, I do still believe that we're at $61,000, just to maintain a little bit of perspective. I don't think that we're actually doing that badly personally, but you know, I think everybody's going to have slightly different opinions on that, obviously. What else have we got in the live chat here? We got Miami, Florida. What's up? What's up, Lewis? Welcome. Sasha from Switzerland. Alex from Portugal. Josh at 6 a.m. Well, which time zone are you in, Josh? You in Colorado or something? Patrick from Spain. Are we going to recover from Alfred? I believe so. I believe so. Are we going to recover from here or a little bit lower? That remains to be seen. But of course, I think we will recover. USA market about to open. Get your trade set up. You already know it, Sean. That is exactly it. That's actually why we're going live at this time today, ladies and gents. You know, in about, what is it now? In about 80 minutes from now, I will most likely still be live with you guys. And we will be seeing the S&P 500 open. So I think that's going to be very, very important for this market. If you are excited for that, ladies and gents, help me pump those likes up. Let's get this live stream out to more viewers that actually want to see it, because YouTube's algorithm is bloody useless. And if you want to make sure that YouTube does push it out to you the next time when it's time sensitive, just make sure that you are subscribed and that you do have that bell icon checked right next to the subscribe box here. Very, very important indeed. Before we do kick this off, I want to give a big shout out to Blowfin. They are at the moment pretty much the only no KYC exchange that I believe is trustworthy in the market. Those two words don't tend to go hand in hand these days. A lot of the no KYC exchanges are shady as fuck. Blowfin, in a pretty good place, I think. Definitely worth checking out. Options are quite limited these days. Of course, keep in mind your country's local regulations. If you're banned from using exchanges by law, then Blowfin can't help you either. Nobody can. You have to follow the law. Super, super important. And what's great about this offer with Blowfin is depending on how much you trade, you will be getting, you know, an Apple Watch, Herman Miller's chair, or a Kawasaki motorbike, or a Tesla Model 3. So that is absolutely fantastic. You can trade your way to a Tesla Model 3. This offer ends in about 10 days from now. So definitely take advantage of it if you are curious to kind of get some of those gains. It's always linked right down here in the description below. Thousands of dollars in bonuses and a free Tesla up for grabs as well. All you've got to do is do the same trading you're already doing. So that is absolutely sick. We will, yes, be looking at the US markets, and that is something I'm very, very excited for in this live stream. I think it's the most important thing we're going to be doing in this live stream. We got Sweden, Bulgaria. What's up? Black Monday. Mirovsky is saying Black Monday. That's somewhat dramatic, but you know, who knows? We could be looking at exactly that. I think one of the things I want to focus on with you guys today is what's going on Twitter. I just want to kind of look through, you know, and I've said this before, the people that I follow on Twitter are generally, I think, smarter people. Like, I don't actually follow stupid people mostly on Twitter. So we might not get a super representative view of what's going on in the market. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to kind of scroll through this, see how people are responding. And of course, if we get a little bit of volatility, you and I are going to be reacting to that live. And of course, the number one thing that I'm going to be focusing on with you guys is making sure that we are all staying grounded and that we are approaching the market with the best mind that we can put forward in this situation. Okay, if you're able to keep your cool, if you're able to maintain perspective of what's important at times like this, you are going to get paid. Okay, if you're able to maintain your cool, if you're able to keep a solid, sober perspective on what's going on at times like this, you are going to get paid. I've been doing this for over 7 years now. I've been trading these markets over 7 years. That is a lesson I've learned very, very clearly. I'm going to say it one more time. For the ladies and gentlemen in the back, if you can keep your cool at a time like this, you are going to get paid. Okay, I think we're clear on that. Smash up the likes, ladies and gents. There he is when we need him the most. As always, sir. As always. Always there when you guys are curious. What does Sammy have to say? Price is okay so far. Not the best, obviously. Worried as fuck from Patrick. Patrick is very, very worried. How else are we feeling in the market? What's with the walking? Dude, I'm just getting my steps in. What am I at so far? I'm just, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone. You guys want to see a live stream? I want to get my steps up. So we're at about 650 steps so far. If I can close this off with 5, 10,000, that'd be great. That'd be very, very good. I want to know how we're feeling in the live chat. I'm just kind of looking through a couple more comments, and then we're going to get straight into it. We've got the minute chart open on the Bitcoin. On the Bitcoin chart here, take a look at the hourly. Look at that. In fact, on the hourly, if we take a look at it on this chart right here, what I think is so interesting is you can almost start to see capitulation coming in the market, right? Let me show this to you on the daily. I think it's even more obvious. I mean, we can see so clearly here that we start off a little bit slow, and then bam, last minute, in the last 2 days, including today, we're seeing a big drop down. And, you know, to put it in perspective, in the last 2 days, we dumped by 5.85%. You know, to get here from this candle down to the initiation of this dump, it was a 6.5% dump, and it took 9 days. Okay, so for nearly the same blood, it's taken 2 days to do what we previously took 9 days to do. So I think that really tells us a lot about how this market has intensified with this dump. But I think one of the first things I want to do to just kind of ground ourselves and anchor ourselves is that there has not been a situation in history in this particular price range where we haven't done this. Every single time Bitcoin has fallen down to this particular price level, we've fallen down to this particular price level in exactly the same way. Allow me to elaborate before I come back to the live chat for just a second, because I do want to see how we're all feeling in the live chat today. And if we take a look at this on the daily time frame, look at these dump candles we're getting right here. This candle right here, the one I'm coloring. I can't draw properly. Look at this candle right here. Look at this candle right here. Do you know what? There's actually a specific tool that allows me to do this. So I don't even need to bother drawing horrible arrows. Look at that right there. Look at the dumps that came in here. Even over here. Every dump that we're getting down to this particular price level, I don't know why. You tell me. You have as good of a guess as I do. But every dump that we have when we come down to the $60,000 price level is always a very intense one. You know, I mean, we're talking about in one day, we're down by 9.4%. And might I remind you guys that we have already visited this price level 4 times in this particular trend only. Already 4 times, okay? And this is not even the worst time that we've hit it. I mean, the first time that we hit it was scary. You know, it was properly scary, ladies and gents. The first time that we hit this price level all the way back over here, what was this? This was the 19th of March, 2024. So basically exactly 3 months ago. We've hit this price level in much scarier circumstances. But it's only now that everybody is shitting themselves. Why? The question is why? I think one of the clearest answers for that are because, number one, your altcoin positions have been decimated. We're not surprised by that. Number two, it's because we've been ranging sideways now for about 120 days. Okay, so it's not actually the price that we're scared of. Let's clear that up today, ladies and gents. We're not scared that the price is dumping. We're just upset that we have to deal with a dump after we've already been dealing with boringness for 4 months. That's the real problem. Let's get real and be honest for 3 months. Let's get real and be honest with ourselves. That's what's actually happening here. Is it 4 or 3 months? I don't know. I'm so bad at math. I'm actually shocking at math. I think it's 4 months. You know? And so we're not actually worried that we're seeing a price drop right now. We're just upset that after 120 days of consolidation, we're still not done. I think that's what this really is. And of course it's alts. I mean, if you hold alts, any position is much worse, right? So we're going to talk about alts a little bit in this live stream as well. But allow me to continue to go through these comments here. Let's see what we've got. We have 570 viewers and 117 likes. If you do appreciate these live streams, do me a favor and smash those likes up. Like I said, we are aiming to be live during the S&P 500 Open, which is in about 75 minutes from now. So I should still be live with you guys at that time, and I will be covering the Open. I think that's going to be one of the most important things for this market here. Let's take a very quick teaser and look at the dollar. The dollar is in a good place. Okay, I mean, the dollar is starting to find resistance. This session obviously has been open for some time now. You know, I think that the dollar is in a good place. And so I think that this dump from the dollar's perspective is unwarranted. We're going to have to see how the S&P 500 behaves. I think this is going to be one of the most important points of the live stream, and I will be live with you up to that point. So shout out to those of you that are tuning in live with me today. This is going to be a very important one, I think. Let's see what else the live chat is saying. 17% down is a dip for ants. I agree with you, dude. 17% is really not that bad at all, especially for Bitcoin. You know, if we do measure this from the absolute all-time high to the low that we set today, that is a 17.6% drop to current price at 16.8%. It really is quite minor in the grand scheme of things. We're gonna cover that quite extensively in this stream. DFI electrician, I am so fearless. I love that attitude, man. I'm actually gonna pin that comment right there because I think those of you in the live chat who are a little bit more worried, you need to see that there are a lot of people right now side by side with you that just are not phased. They're just not phased. Shout out to Elaine from New York City, absolutely legendary trader who takes her dog around with her absolutely everywhere. She has a very, very cool husky, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to Elaine. Super, super cool. My short position has become a real store of value. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Who's short from here, ladies and gents? Let me know in the live chat. Good price point to buy, most likely. I agree, John. I think this is one of the best price zones to buy. Just in terms of good practice, it might not necessarily be the low. But I think in terms of good practice, this is a very, very good price zone to be considering buying. Appreciate you taking the time to come on these streams. Of course, man. Of course. My pleasure, Raj. Thank you very, very much. My pleasure. We got Dublin calling. What's up, guys? Smash the likes. USA in the house. What's up? Most tickers slightly green pre-market, but Nvidia red. Okay, well, if Nvidia is red, Alex is saying that Nvidia is red for the S&P 500. If Nvidia is in the red pre-market, then we have a problem. Then we do have a problem, because why is it saying Nvidia is Nasdaq right now? I mean, if Nvidia is dipping, then that explains everything. I think that's probably going to be in a bit of a bearish open for the S&P 500, and the downstream consequences for Bitcoin could be quite negative. Are we looking at the $60,000 price zone collapsing today? We'll see. We'll talk about that. Sean's in the Pacific Northwest. Sorry about that, dude. What else have we got here? We'll be getting into this very, very shortly. Already covered a few key points. I'm going to be elaborating a lot on all of this in just a minute. Someone needs a haircut, dude. I'm going surfer mode. This is growing out. It's going to be an awkward phase. You guys are here for it with me, but the plan right now is we're going very, very long with the hair now. Why not, man? I've been around on this planet for a couple decades now. I think it's time to do something fun with my hair. Not many have the patience to go through these downs and hold, which sucks, because you just drop the price more for big money to buy it up if you sell. Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely. But it's the natural way that these markets work. We're not going to get upset by it. We're just going to make money off it. We're just going to make money off it. All right, guys. Looks like we're doing okay. It looks like we're doing okay in the live chat today. So that's really, really good. All right, ladies and gents. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Let's pump those likes up one more time. We're at 150. The more you guys hit those likes up, the more viewers we get, the longer I'm on with you guys. Because YouTube will be doing what it should be doing. And that will make me feel like I'm not wasting my time. But here we go. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Okay, so we obviously hit our beautiful zone of resistance up here at the $72,000 price zone. You know, it did result in another rejection. Actually very similar to last time, you know, excluding this. The previous time we hit this zone of resistance, but we didn't quite fall all the way back down to our $60,000 support zone here. We just had a small retracement, just like here. The first time we hit this zone, we only had a small retracement. And the second time we triggered a big retracement. So it's very interesting to see how that fractal is kind of playing out again. We've done basically the same thing this time that we did last time. Now, those of you that have been paying attention, you're actually going to know that this screams of what happened last time when we were on the way up in 2023. Okay? In 2023, when we were on the way trending up, we had this beautiful price zone after we punched in the low. You guys remember that this is where I went long. I'm still in that long. You already know. I'll never stop talking about it. and you know, we hit our high up here, and then we trended down a little bit, and then we hit the high up here again, and we trended down a little bit, and my goodness, the sentiment was shot down here. I mean, people were so worried about the market down here. But go back on this YouTube channel and watch my videos from September of 2023, and you're going to remember I said, hey guys, look, nothing's changed. We didn't break market structure. Okay? We didn't punch in a lower low. Yeah? We didn't punch in a lower low. We didn't break market structure. All we've done, really, all we've done is we've come down to an area of support, and we found support. Okay? So that in and of itself is not something that can worry me. Because when you find support, that is the prerequisite to smashing through resistance. You can't do one without the other, typically, okay? So I think that worked out really, really well for Bitcoin. And, you know, if we kind of look at Bitcoin today through a similar lens, which I think is very easy to do because it's the same fucking price range, okay? You know, we're doing the same thing right now. We've got this beautiful zone of support over here. You know, this is something I actually made a standalone video about yesterday. Those of you that were watching this channel yesterday, let me know if you saw that video. I'd be curious to see how many of you guys were tuning in for that one yesterday. Let me know in the live chat. But, you know, one of the key things we were talking about is that this was a 20% 20% range roughly. This way, the way we're measuring it here, it's a 24% range. And this range that we're in right now is also about a 20% range. Again, you can measure it slightly differently, but the numbers come out very, very similar. You know, and then we've just been trading sideways, same as over here. Okay, this range so far, like I said, about 120 days. This range about 220 days. Okay, so lots of similarities across the board here. You know, and we still haven't actually broken that support. So I think that's the first thing I want to talk to you guys about. Again, 7+ years I've been doing this, ladies and gents. I've been trading these markets. I've been making YouTube videos on these markets as well, actually, for nearly the same amount of time. 7+ years I've been doing this. And if there's one thing I learned, when you fall down to support levels, that is where it's the easiest to be bearish, but that is where you get paid the best to be bullish. Okay? And it's the same thing at resistance. When you rise up to resistance levels, that is when it's the easiest to be bullish, it's the easiest to feel bullish, and you make the most money by going short, by selling. Okay? That is something which I learned very, very clearly in my 7 years, if that's worth anything to you, in these markets. I think that's very, very important to kind of ground yourselves, because support is where support happens. Resistance is where resistance happens. So I think that's really, really important in this live stream here today, ladies and gents. And that is a point that I wanted to bring up with you guys. Now, does this mean that we can't collapse below this floor? Absolutely not. Of course, we can collapse below this floor, and we're going to be covering that extensively in this live stream. Because unfortunately, while this is clearly a zone of support, it is also clearly a zone of support that we've tested a few too many times now. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. Fourth one was a fake out, but that counts. 5 attempts at this support level now. And this attempt is number 6. Now, granted, this is spread out across 120 days. Okay, so on average, we're only testing this. I don't know why I try and put myself in positions where I have to do math. It's so embarrassing. But I think that means every 20 days on average, we're hitting this support zone, which is not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. And on the flip side, it's the same thing at resistance, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if we hit it again, it would be number 6. So we've got the same setup for resistance as we do for support. And really all that means is that we have an equilibrium. That's really all it means. We have an equilibrium. And this equilibrium is showing itself inside of an uptrend. So just like the previous equilibrium that we had, if you're in an uptrend and you establish an equilibrium, it has to be, inherently, it has to be bullish. It can't be anything else, because you're looking at an equal situation in a bullish environment, right? So it can't not be bullish, you know, like just by default. So I think that's really, really important to kind of ground ourselves. And I think that may actually kind of help you understand a little bit about what you're looking at in this market as well, when you do consider it from this perspective. Now, there is an interesting long trade to consider over here, and it is right now where we are. Now, this is not a trade I would take, and I will tell you why in a few minutes, but it's a very, very nice setup anyway. It's got an 8.7 risk to reward ratio. Okay, so that means for every $1 that I risk, I stand to make $8.7, $8.70. That's huge. That's like incredible. It is incredible. Very, very, very good number. And I'm only looking at about 2% risk here, according to this trade setup as well. So, you know, let's say I use 5x leverage. That's a maximum loss of like 11%, 12%, something like that. Very, very minor loss. I mean, incredibly digestible potential loss here to be going long. And it does line up with the big one-day green Ichimoku cloud, which we'll be covering in just a minute. So really nice risk here. Incredible upside. And I think we're lining up with a lot of factors that would actually make a trade like this good, including the fear and greed index being shot so low. Okay, this is something that we've been watching for a little bit. Today we had a reading of 51. I'm sure it's going to be much lower when this updates, but this will take 11.5 hours, and a lot can happen in 11.5 hours. But we have seen the fear and greed index go from 74 just 6 days ago, not even 1 week ago. We were at 74. Now we're at 51, okay? So we're actually we're in neutral territory, and we're starting to slide toward fearful territory now, okay? And we're doing that at a very, very nice support level. So, You know, if you like those kind of factors that I've just outlined, then that already looks like a pretty good position. I'll tell you why I wouldn't take this in just a second, though, because I don't think that it's as clear-cut as this. But the number one thing that I've learned in these markets is that with positions like this, a lot of the time in my experience, just throwing a little bit of money into them, you know, if nothing else, is good practice, because it'll show me that if you are fearless in the face of a big drop where everybody else is losing their shit, you do actually tend to get paid for that pretty well. So that's something which I think is really cool. Once again, ladies and gents, I want to highlight to you the phenomenal opportunity to trade on Blowfin, which is a new exchange that I've actually started to work with a little bit. They are a no KYC platform, meaning they don't require a picture of yourself or your ID. I made a tutorial for them on this YouTube channel, and in that tutorial, you'll be shocked. You don't need to watch it. It's super simple, you know, if you're already familiar with exchanges, but from sign up to trading, it took me literally 2 minutes. You know, it was the quickest process ever, and that includes a deposit. It was just so quick to get started on this exchange. And you have a chance right now, only for the next 10 days, based on your trading volume, to win a Kawasaki motorbike, or a Tesla Model 3, or even an Apple Watch SE. And this one's a relatively easy requirement to hit $3 million in trading volume. This is after leverage is applied. So it's not too hard to hit these kind of bonuses. And you do get thousands of dollars in other bonuses as well when you do sign up to Blowfin, linked below. So check it out. When you start trading after you've made your deposit, you're going to start getting access to these really, really cool rewards. It is well worth checking out. These exchanges have a lot of money, and they want to give it to you to get your business. So definitely worth considering. At this stage in the market, we've got a comment saying Solana is printing giga candles. I'm not so sure about that. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but we do have a little bit of a recovery here for Solana. Yeah, quite a nice V-shaped recovery, actually, so that's pretty cool. We'll come back to that in just a sec, but definitely do take advantage of this in the background if you are curious to get some very, very cool offers. Like I said, there are not many trustworthy options available in the markets these days, and the ones that are not typically places you want to put your money in. But I think Blowfin does solve a lot of those problems. Again, always be mindful of your local country's regulations. If you're not allowed to use any of these exchanges, then you can't use Blowfin either. That's obviously just by law. But yeah, you can hardly call consolidation in a range a crash when you had 6 months of pure upside before that. Mate, you guys are so switched on. I'm pinning that comment now as well. All right, let's take a look at what this gentleman here is saying. I'm assuming you're a gentleman. I'm not allowed to do that these days, right? He's saying, yeah, you can hardly call a consolidation. All right, we are clearly consolidating. You can hardly call this a crash when we've had 6 months of pure upside before that. So a little bit less than 6 months, I guess. Well, actually, maybe he's counting it from here. Yeah, you got about, 6 months, depending on where you measure it from. 6 months of pure upside. Yeah, that is 6 months of pure upside. Before that, okay, he is absolutely bang on. He is so deep in the truth that he is covered with it, and he is firing it off himself because he's got too much truth locked in that brain. But that is exactly it, mate. I completely agree. We've had 6 months of upside where from this low to the all-time high, Bitcoin managed to rise up by 200%. It tripled in value. Bitcoin tripled in value in this time. And now we're trading sideways back down to the bottom of the range. You can't call that, you know, a disaster or anything like that. You know, I mean, it's just silly. It is just silly. We've got a comment here saying that the Ichimoku cloud shows $56,000 incoming. I think it's showing more like 57 at this stage, 58. But yes, there is definitely space for the price to drop all the way down here to 58. And if it does drop down here and then recovers, it'd just be another very, very classic fake out from Bitcoin. The last fake out lasted a couple of days. So, you know, sometimes we see resolutions to these fake outs pretty quickly. Sometimes they take a little bit more time. But I think that's really, really important. How many steps are we at? Let's take a look. Well, I've been walking for 30 minutes now, so that's pretty good. We've been live for about 30 minutes as well, which definitely makes sense. If you are enjoying the stream so far, ladies and gents, smash those likes up. We're at 218. I always want to hit 500 on a live stream, just so I feel like I achieved something today. So help me out if you find these live streams useful so far. I'm just grounding you with facts right now. We haven't even really gotten to the analysis yet. We haven't even really started talking about where I think Bitcoin will go. If we're going to dip below it, if we're going to dip below 60K, what would happen? If we're going to bounce from here, what would happen? I haven't even started talking to you about that. I haven't looked at a single altcoin yet, really. So there's so much more we have left to do. We have just 1 hour left until the S&P 500 opens. So we still have a lot more to do in this live stream. And so far, if you've been finding it useful, any engagement you can throw my way onto this YouTube channel does help a lot. Shout out to First Last saying, just found your channel, subscribed. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much for subscribing. If you guys are new to the channel, then make sure that you do hit up that subscribe button so you don't miss out on this very time-sensitive content. Obviously, it is always just incredibly grounded. I'm here to make money, okay? You're here to make money. We are aligned. All right, I don't take the bullshit sponsorships and deals that I really should have. That would make me 10 times richer than I am right now. Where I get to dump on everybody, all of my viewers and shit like that. I don't make money off shit like that, all right? So I'm here to do the same thing that you're doing. We're on the same page here. And that's why I have to be a lot more realistic than the other guys you're going to see on this platform. Because they get paid if they're wrong, but I don't. So I have to be right. And because I have to be right, I have worked out ways to be right more often than I'm wrong. Okay? So that's how it works over here on this channel. And if you appreciate that, then do me a favor and smash those likes up and double check that you are subscribed. Bro is a multitasking god. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you very, very much, sir. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about where I think Bitcoin could go now. There's so much to talk about. I've got some support levels outlined for you guys. We'll get to that in just a second. But if we do take a look at this Bitcoin chart right here, this is basically our final support level. Now, you could argue that it stretches all the way down to even, 59,400 because of this wick down here. But it just gets a bit silly, right? I mean, you could even argue that it stretches all the way down to 56K. Perhaps what would be more appropriate is to draw a second box inside of this box to represent the more kind of narrow range that we're actually working with, because I think that this is the more important level. But what I'm saying here is that if we do dip a little bit below it, we don't want to be too worried. Now, one of the things that we really need to be looking for if we're going to be getting a real bounce off this price level is we need to get something quick, okay? The last time that we fell down to this level, like over here, we didn't have a quick reaction off this level. If we zoom in and take a look at what actually happened on this little recovery here for Bitcoin, we originally kind of slowly moved down here. We got a bounce, and then we came back down, and then we had a day of indecision, and then we moved back up, and then we moved back down again. And that is just a lot of indecision to be displaying at a support level, okay? If you want to give the surest sign that you're actually going to collapse below a support level, you do this. Okay, if you want to give a sign that actually you're very strong and you don't have to worry about the support level collapsing, you do this, or you do this, or even a little bit of this. And what the difference here is that when you're bouncing off a support level for real, you're going to bounce off it quickly. Okay, you're not going to spend too much time messing around and, hanging around in the range and, enjoying the view and eating a fucking sandwich, having a picnic and shit like that. You're not going to do that. You're just going to move up. You're going to move up very quickly. You're going to get out of that range. And this makes total sense. Okay, one of the things I want you guys to do is visualize this market in terms of how it actually works for real. Okay, and how this market actually works for real is that when we fall down to a support level that people feel like, they need to defend, there's going to be too many buyers over there and not enough sellers, and the price is going to very quickly reverse. Okay? But if you fall down to that same price level and the buyers aren't stepping in, then what's that going to tell to the sellers? It's going to tell the sellers, shit, I better sell right now because there clearly aren't any buyers here. And if there are no buyers and there's still a lot of sellers, then obviously the price has to collapse. And because of that fear, we're going to start to see people selling off their positions. Now, there's another major risk that we have in this market as well right now. And it's the same reason that I think we saw this kind of capitulation candle right here, which is that as we do start to collapse below important levels like, let's say 60K, we're obviously going to have a lot of people that built up long positions down here and more importantly over here. I mean, this was you know, again, I just want to look at this in terms of time. This was like a week that we were trading down here. You know, there were a lot of long positions that probably entered here. There were a lot more long positions that entered higher up. A lot of people that were buying and so on. So the number one thing we are going to have now in this range are stop losses, okay? And stop losses, when they get hit, are going to sell into the market, okay? The mechanics of a stop loss, for those of you who don't know, are very, very straightforward. Now, if I've bought a Bitcoin position, I've gone from a position of 0 to a position of something. The only way I can close that position is to bring it back down to 0, okay? So if I'm holding Bitcoin, I have to sell my Bitcoin to bring that back down to 0, okay? And if I sell the Bitcoin here at $61,000, that means I'm selling into whatever buying demand there is. And if there's not much buying demand, you're going to see a big collapse, okay? So what happens at times like this is that the buyers recognize there's no support for another $10,000, let's say, because there isn't. You know, the next support is at $52,000. They recognize that there's no support nearby, so there's not much buying demand. And at the same time, sellers need to get out of their positions because their stop losses have been hit. They're reaching liquidation and so on, right? So that's actually what triggers big moves in the market. And it's not actually people being bearish, right? There is an absence of being bullish, but it's not actually people being bearish. They're two different things, okay? So I think that's really important to keep in mind, because when you start to see big, extreme price moves, now that you've heard what I've said, you're actually going to be able to make more sense of what's going on, and that's going to calm you down, telling you that it's not great, but it's definitely not as bad as you might have thought at first, okay? And that's really, really useful, because again, the first thing I said in this live stream, and I want you guys to rewind this live stream if you're tuning in a little bit late, the first thing I said on this live stream is that we need to stay grounded with this market, okay? The more we can stay grounded and realistic, the more we get paid, okay? So understanding these things makes them less scary. That's very, very important. If we don't understand this stuff, we're going to be very, very terrified as the dumps start coming in. We're going to have a very, very bad day. We're going to look at our portfolio and we're just going to feel even more upset. The next time you look at the chart after 2 minutes, the price is even lower. You're just not in a good place, okay? So we really need to make sure that we're grounding ourselves with facts about what's actually happening here, so that even if the price does keep dropping, and I think there are very low levels that the price could hit, very, very important keyword, and I'll be covering that with you very shortly in this live stream. Even though all of that is true, I do still strongly believe that understanding the mechanics of this market will show you just how little you actually have to be worried about in this market. Where are we at for the steps right here? Let's take a look at this. I'm at nearly 1.9 kilometers. 3,200 steps. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Sean Munir saying, let's smash the likes and blow this stream up. I agree with you, sir. I definitely agree with you, sir. Lee is asking, am I on a treadmill? And Sean's already replying, yes, he's getting his steps in. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Just seeing what else we've got here in the live chat. Oh, Thoro is watching this live stream while walking as well. Shout out to you, mate. Shout out to those of you that do watch these kind of live streams, these videos on a treadmill. You don't need to be sitting stationary for this. Get your steps in at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. We don't have enough time in every day to get everything done. So if I can bunch things together, I prefer to do so. Solana had a long way to climb up to its 2022 levels. Yep, we're going to be looking at Solana in a little bit. I think it's one of the most interesting altcoins in this market right now. So I want to cover that with you. I want to cover with you ideas of like Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, and so on as well. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on in this live stream. The Dusty Hunt is walking his dog. Absolutely fantastic. Did I say why I wouldn't take the trade? So the reason I wouldn't take this trade is because of how many times we've tested this support level and the fact that there's no other confluence. The only supporting factors I have for this trade are the Ichimoku cloud and the horizontal support. And alone, those two are actually very, very strong. Those are actually very, very strong factors, I think, for not taking this particular trade. I'm sorry, for taking this trade. I think they're strong factors in favor of this trade. But I think the fact that we've already tested this level so many times now means that my upside could be limited. And it actually comes into the next bit of analysis I wanted to cover with you guys, which is like, where is the next zone of resistance on this chart, right? Now that we're down to 60K, if we actually bounce up, where can we expect resistance? And right here at $67,000, pretty much bang on, we have our fixed range point of control, which represents an incredibly important area of resistance. And I don't want to focus on anything else beyond that right now. And so if we do bounce up, even though I showed you that there could be a very, very nice path up to 72K, it may even just be something that tops out over here, and then we get the big collapse. And that would actually make so much more sense, you know, because to me, it doesn't make sense that we just smash right through this support area. It would make a lot more sense if we kind of have some sort of a, you know, fight and then come down. If we're even going to come down, that's how I would expect it to happen. I think that's very, very important. You know, and I think the other main reason that I wouldn't take that trade just yet is the S&P 500. I need to see how the S&P 500 opens. We've already got some evidence to suggest that Nvidia is down pre-market. And if Nvidia is down pre-market, you know, I think that that could be a strong sign that actually, you know, we're going to see a little bit of a red open here on the S&P 500. And of course, if that happens, you know, it could actually end up dragging Bitcoin down, because the number one thing that we've seen recently in this market, ladies and gents, let me just throw Bitcoin back on here. The number one thing that we've seen is that Bitcoin had a very, very nice correlation with the S&P 500, basically right up until here, which is where the S&P 500 continued to rally up and continued to set brand new all-time highs, but Bitcoin didn't do that, okay? And up to this point, we had a lot of similarities with the market. I mean, take a look at the moment that Bitcoin peaked with the S&P 500. Both of them entered a small downtrend here. Before that, when the markets bottomed out right here, you know, we saw the S&P 500 rally up very nicely and Bitcoin at the same time. So there was a very, very clear correlation, and there were some exceptions. You know, here's a slightly exceptional period. But again, broadly speaking, S&P is trending up, setting all-time highs. Bitcoin's doing the same thing, setting all-time highs, okay? S&P kind of falters a little bit, it struggles a little bit and trades sideways. So too does Bitcoin up here. So very, very similar price action across the board for the most part, but we saw a very clear decoupling here back in basically, you know, early June, okay? So about like 2-3 weeks ago is when we saw that. And I think that because of that, we're actually looking at quite a concerning setup, where if the S&P 500, which, you know, and I've given you guys a lot of logic on my side for why I think the S&P 500 is so important for Bitcoin, but to recap it, because I think some of you may actually be new, let me know how many of you are actually new to this YouTube channel today. I always get surprised that people are new to the channel, because I'm like, wait, how have you not been here already? But if you are new, let me know in the live chat today. I want to know how many of you guys have just tuned in, or how new you are. You know, maybe you've been here for a couple of streams, but not too many. You know, I think one of the key things I talk about on this channel about and of course I want to know, you know, Mirovsky is saying old. How old? Like when did you actually start watching the channel? I'm very curious. But one of the key things that I talk about with the S&P 500, right, is that it's exactly like Bitcoin and altcoins, in that when Bitcoin, the big safe asset, is making you money confidently, and then it kind of cools off, it gets a little bit boring, you're now in a position where you've had 6 months, 18 months, whatever, of making money on Bitcoin. You feel very good about it. You feel greedy because you've made money, okay? The number one thing that making money does is it makes people feel greedy. This is very, very clear, obvious, you know, human nature. And when you feel greedy, you're going to start feeling cocky. You're going to start feeling a little bit arrogant. You're going to feel like you're the king or the queen. And that kind of mental setup, at the same time, when you start seeing that altcoins are pumping up, is going to make you invest your Bitcoin profits into altcoins. And the thing about altcoins is they're so much smaller, so they move up a lot more aggressively. Now we bring it back to Bitcoin, and since basically 2022, really since 2022, but even years before that, even 5 years before that, in the end of 2017, we've seen Bitcoin become much, much more institutionalized. Okay, there's much, much more institutional money in crypto now. Since 2022 especially, I think that's where it really started to really get quite crazy. You know, and since then, I think that this market, because of all of that bigger money that's come in, You know, and obviously we've got the ETFs now, so it's incredibly clear, you know, where we are. And I think also just recalling our memory all the way back to 2018, when banking executives were talking about taming Bitcoin, that was literally what JP Morgan were saying. Obviously, these guys win every battle that they fight because they're too powerful to beat. It's just the reality of the world. We already understand this. We're staying realistic. You know, and I think that now that all of those factors have kind of fallen into place, we are in a situation now, quite clearly, in my opinion, where this market is much more dependent now than it ever has been on that kind of white-collar institutional money, okay? That's how I feel about Bitcoin now. I feel like Bitcoin at this stage, you know, is much more dependent on institutional money than it ever has been, and because of that, it's become correlated to those bigger traditional finance markets. So this makes sense. It sounds like a very natural evolution for the market. Is it a good thing? Hell no. It's extremely bad in my opinion, but it makes sense. And I think because of that, we started to see Bitcoin really couple up with the S&P 500 a lot more. And, you know, you don't have to look too far on this chart to really understand what I'm saying. It really is kind of, I was going to say staring you in the face, but it's not staring you in the face. It's smacking you in the face. You know, just how clearly these two charts have moved in similar ways, okay? We can actually shrink this Bitcoin chart up. Bear with, I'm just kind of being a little bit fat-fingered here. And, you know, we can see very, very clearly, you know, S&P 500 bottoms out, starts trending up, Bitcoin trends up at the same time. S&P 500 starts to falter, Bitcoin's faltering at the same time. S&P starts falling down, trading sideways, Bitcoin starts falling down, trading sideways, stuff like that. We regain our uptrend here, S&P starts trending up, Bitcoin starts trending up. You know, S&P starts to struggle over here, Bitcoin starts to struggle. So generally, we are doing the same things, okay? And I think that, you know, the technical analysis is there to show us that this is definitely the case. And I think that the logic is also there, okay? Which is that Bitcoin kind of needs traditional finance on its side now. I'm just going to switch back to Bitcoin here on the minute time frame because it looks like we could be seeing a very, very small dip right now. We'll be keeping an eye out on this throughout this live stream. If you guys see anything super interesting happening right now in the market, then please let me know in the live chat. I would definitely love to take a look at that with you all on this live stream here. Where are we at for steps? We're at 2.35 kilometers, 4,000 steps. Nice, nice. I'm gonna stop this just for a minute because I want to stop walking just for a minute. Let's see what else we have here. I'm new. Is this some sort of fitness channel? No, but I think fitness is important for all of us, so I'm not scared of talking about it. Sammy, I need to leave. Will you finish this? Will you upload this later? I would love to finish it later. Absolutely, yeah. You can just come back on the exact same URL, and you will you'll be able to watch the replay. Wolfgang saying, I love that you promote being active along with learning how the market ebbs and flows. You rock. Now following you. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, you know, regardless of where you are in life, it's kind of not optional. I used to think it was optional. I think most people do in the West. Actually, everywhere. Most people think it's optional to take care of fitness. It's really not. And I think I got a lot more serious about it when there were some tragedies in my family. I think a lot of us kind of go through those phases like that. And I had my turn. So yeah, I think, you know, now that we've seen such a clear correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P 500, but also now that we're seeing that Bitcoin has decoupled from it, what we're seeing is that this is an environment from this yellow line onwards where Bitcoin should have been stronger. I really feel like that's the case. Bitcoin should have been stronger at this point than what we've seen so far because, you know, we have got that very clear kind of inverse correlation with the S&P 500 generally, but we really lost it after this yellow line, where the S&P kept doing well and Bitcoin kept getting weaker. So now this is telling me that something which should have been a good sign for the market is not serving Bitcoin. So what does that tell you if this starts to drop? You know, I mean, we're already doing something bearish in the face of a very bullish sign. So if the S&P 500 stops giving us bullish signs, and instead if it starts printing bearish signs, what does that mean for Bitcoin? Does that mean Bitcoin sees a really sharp collapse? Or does that mean Bitcoin just does the opposite? Now, I don't think it means Bitcoin does the opposite. I don't think we have the environment for that. So I think the number one thing we have to do is just kind of acknowledge that if the S&P 500 does open bearish, and if this is a bearish week for the S&P 500, it could get pretty uncomfortable, you know, for Bitcoin. And again, we're going to know that in 37 minutes in this live stream. So if you are excited for that, smash those likes up. Let's get this up to 500 likes before the S&P 500 opens. That's really going to be a very, very important part of the live stream. So I'm definitely excited for that. I hope you are as well. You guys are telling me to get back on the steps, so here we go. Let's start this back up. There we go. We got a treadmill going. Thank you for motivating me, guys. I appreciate that. Let me cover a couple more interesting charts with you now. So, and like I said, we still haven't even looked at altcoins. There's a lot more that we haven't gone through yet. There's a lot more that I will be going through with you. But I want to talk to you about this. So now we've already kind of acknowledged the possibility of a fake out and how we could recover back up, but also how this could trigger a lot of sell-offs because of stop losses and liquidations, and that could take the price lower. We'll talk about lower price targets in just a second. We've also covered that the next real big zone of resistance on this chart is 67. I do want to take this opportunity now to say very clearly that if we do get back above $67,000, that is a giga long opportunity for me. It would be the biggest long opportunity for me that I've seen in a very, very long time. And that means basically Bitcoin coming up to, let's say, $69,000, coming back down here. I would go long off this particular level, and I would sell my fucking house for it. Maybe not literally, but I would be very, very inclined to take a giga long off that level, because flipping that, you know, to me, it would be very, very bullish. Like I said, you know, it's been a sustained uptrend. We're consolidating sideways. If we are able to pull off a recovery and get above this zone, I mean, this resistance, in my opinion, is just going to be like slicing through butter with a hot knife. I think that's how it's going to be. There's going to be no problem at all to get through this resistance zone, in my view, if we can get above that 67K level now. And then I think, you know, we're going to get paid. I really think we're going to get paid. Okay, I mean, you know, we did it last time in 2023, you know, and from that breakout point until really the first major, it wasn't even a major, but until the first kind of retracement, Bitcoin managed to pull a 60% gain, right? And so if we see something similar to that right now, and I'm not saying we will see something similar to that, but if it happens, 56% is all the way up here at $112,000. Is that reasonable for a first target for Bitcoin? You know, and how long did it take Bitcoin to produce this? It took 80 days, right? So we'd be looking at, let's say, something that looks a little bit like this. That's not 80 days at all, my bad. 80 days puts us at... Oh, I can't actually even show it to you guys. It puts us, by the looks of it, in like November. I'm so bad at math. I keep embarrassing myself. I think October. I think it puts us in October. And actually, it lines up really well because we've got, you know, typically a kind of bearish summer for Bitcoin. This is actually very clear. I can show this to you guys in just a second. We get, you know, typically quite bearish summers, and we typically get quite bullish winters, right? Let me actually show that to you real quick, just while we're on this subject here, because I think you're really, really going to find this interesting. So I'm going to remove all of this, and I just want to take a couple of vertical lines here and put them on the chart during different particular seasons. Okay, so let's say the middle of summer is July. I mean, just for argument's sake. So let's put this down here. That was 2023. Now 2022 July, let's say that's over here. 2021 July. Okay, you're already starting to see what I'm talking about right here, ladies and gents. 2020 July. 2019 July. What have we got? 2018 July. And we're looking for the months that are plus minus, you know, a couple of months, right? Here we are, 2017 July. I think it's pretty clear. I'll do one more. But I think what we're seeing here across the board is, you know, you might trend up into it a little bit. But you do tend to see dips, and just to put this in perspective, this might not look like much, but this was a 40% dip. From this high down to this low, that was a 40% drop from $750 down to $483. Very, very big drop. If that happened now to Bitcoin, whoever is scared now would absolutely soil themselves, a 40% drop from here would put us at $44,000, okay? Actually, very similar price numbers. Look at that. It's just 100 times higher. Look at that. Did you guys notice that? From 74 down to 44. And look at what happened here. That's so interesting. From 780 down to 480. Very, very similar price numbers here. Just 100 times higher. Ain't that interesting, huh? It's just the simulation messing with us. July in 2017. This was actually the first and last time that I ever panic sold Bitcoin. I watched Bitcoin come all the way up to $3,000. I sold it down here at about $1,800. And then I bought Bitcoin back in August at $5,000, somewhere up here, or like $4,500. So I panic sold here. I rebought here, as usual, buying high and selling low. And there were no ETFs in the previous years. There we go. There we go. We've got the narrative boy in the live chat. We'll come to that in just a second. But you guys know my opinion on ETFs if you've been watching for a little bit. I really couldn't care less, and I will tell you why in a minute. But yeah, I'm not even going to go into it right now. Let me finish this off, and we'll get to that. You know, and here in July, we had a kind of bearish summer for sure. You know, and we have to be kind of picky, right? Because the whole year was very bullish, but this was where we saw a pullback. So I think that's very important. Let's bring it over to 2018. And, you know, this was right after a major downtrend had completed. And we basically stayed in a downtrend for the whole year. This was just a very, very bearish year. Over here in July, we start a downtrend. Okay, so again, same thing. Throughout this summer, we're sideways, nothing particularly interesting, but not bullish. Throughout this summer, we are getting decimated. You know, I mean, this is a very, very bad summer for the market. But directly afterwards, we start to see some green. We're going to come to that in a second. The whole of 2022 was bearish. You know, so July obviously not looking great from that same perspective. And here, we were just trading sideways, right? So generally, from what I'm seeing, these summers at best are neutral, generally. And at worst, they are absolutely disastrous for the market. Now, that's all of the Julys, right? Here's the next thing I want to show you. I want to show you all of the Novembers. You know, and this is very interesting because we have election season coming around now. I sat with a very, very good friend of mine. Shout out to you if you're watching this live stream today. You know, and we were talking about how election season, you know, you're typically going to expect indices like the S&P 500 to stay strong. So that doesn't mean we can't see a dip today, but, you know, across the next months, we'd expect it to stay strong into the election. And then, you know, whatever is going to happen could happen. If it's going to collapse, it'll happen after election, stuff like that. So, you know, and we've got that happening right now. So if we look at November of last year, you know, November of 22, you know, November of 21 right here, you know, November of 20. All right, you're already starting to notice what I'm talking about, hopefully. All right, let's continue to go back to 2018 November. Let's look at 2017 November. 2017 November was really fun. I remember that quite well. 2016 November. You know, so we're back to 2016 now. We've done the same kind of 6-year, you know, kind of look back in history. And for 2016, incredibly clear. I mean, you know, we're really getting very, very excited with this bull market. 2017 is basically the peak. 2017 November, very, very, very bullish environment for Bitcoin. 18, we had a major bear market. 19, it was kind of weird. I don't know. You could call it bearish. You could call it bullish because it just happened, you know, right around the time of this big spike here. 2020, very, very clear. It's the same chart as 2016. It's the exact same chart. You know, 2021, November basically culminates our massive uptrend here. And 2022, we bottom out. So good things tend to happen in Novembers, ladies and gents. Very, very good things tend to happen in Novembers. And of course, our next November is right here. So, you know, I think that there's some really, really nice opportunity for things to turn around for Bitcoin. And really, in my opinion, from a seasonality perspective, I think that, you know, we really don't have much to worry about. Like the next 1 or 2 months, maybe even 3 months, might be a bit shit, you know? But I don't think that we're looking at closing this year off in a bearish way. And that's an opinion that I've had for quite some time now. So, you know, I think that's going to be interesting. But I did want to point that out to you guys. I think that is also quite important. Now, let's come back to the chart here. Like I said, we flip above 67. I think that's going to be massively, massively bullish for this market. You know, if we can smash through this resistance level, then that is it. I think we really are off to the races. And the reason I even came to all of this was, you know, just that very, very hypothetical, you know, fun thought experiment type chart I showed you guys. If it does take us, let's say, 80 days, you know, to get to about 112, that does put us in this case, October, right? So October, November, whatever. You know, they are typically very, very good times for the market. Just while we're here, just while we're talking about it, let me show you what Novembers look like on the S&P 500 as well. So, and I don't want to keep spending too much time on this because it's a bit silly as a, you know, to really spend too much time on it, in my opinion. But we'll talk about it a little bit. We've got November right here, another November here. I'm going to remove this line so it doesn't get confusing. We're just focusing on the yellow vertical lines right now. You know, but I think very, very clear. You know, Novembers are incredibly good times for the S&P 500. I think that's very, very clearly demonstrated to us. You know, we're just looking back to 2019 here. We don't need to keep doing this. You can do this in your own time. But, well, yeah, I mean, if you want to look at November, you know, after the '08 crash, then obviously it's not a good period. But again, we're not really interested in kind of black swans like that. We're more interested in what the general, because we can't predict black swans. So, you know, we're just more interested in the general kind of point. But yeah, I think that's very, very important, looking at this kind of seasonality. You know, it's almost a little bit like voodoo, like, you know, silly stuff. Like, you know, it's a bit more like, what's the word? It's not spiritual, superstitious. It's kind of superstitious. You know, but it clearly is a strong correlation, and I think that that's important to be keeping in mind in this market. So I think that's important. Now, moving on, if we do end up dropping down, let's take a look at where some of our support levels could be. We've got this beautiful small $52,000 support area. It's 15% below basically our current price. We've got a very, very good support level, 30% lower, at $41,000, roughly 42. The next key thing that I want to make a very strong point about with you guys is that the market does not visualize, you know, well, the market doesn't have feelings, but, you know, the market does not see Bitcoin as dropping by 17% from its all-time high. It just sees support levels. It just sees demand. It doesn't even see support levels. It sees demand zones, okay? That's the only thing this market cares about when it's dropping down. It doesn't matter about support in the slightest. It's just about demand zones. That is very, very important for us to be keeping in mind at this stage, because we understand then that it doesn't matter what percentage drop this market can experience. It only matters where the demand zones are. Might I cast your memory back to what happened over here? Okay. And if I ask you to paint for me on this chart where Bitcoin could possibly find support for this downtrend to stop, you don't have a lot of options here. But I think what I would have said is, well, right here, I would say that this is a possible demand zone. And I would say that this is a possible demand zone. And I don't have much to go off other than the fact that Bitcoin consolidated a little bit here. So that shows that there was a bit of resistance. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 times we found support off this level. So I might be able to argue that this is a potential demand zone for Bitcoin. And sure enough, that's where Bitcoin falls down to. Now, what Bitcoin doesn't do is it doesn't fall from this level and start panicking because it's dropping by another 30%, which is exactly what I just showed you. It doesn't worry about that. It doesn't find that upsetting or distressing in the slightest because the market doesn't have feelings. What it does do, however, and this is unequivocal, is it stops dumping when it reaches the demand zone. So it doesn't matter how big that percentage drop was. Okay, that percentage drop, you know, and by the way, a very, very small kind of interim demand zone, you could argue that it's like right here because we had a bit of consolidation. And look at where this daily candle finds a bit of support. Look at where we have some like weird consolidation happening, right? So, you know, the only thing we do, because when this dump kicks off, this daily candle closes precisely at this interim support level, interim demand zone. Okay, so I think that's very, very important. And Perez says, I thought Sammy was on crack, but I guess he's on a treadmill. Yeah, just on a treadmill, sir. No crack today. But yeah, the dump only stops here at the demand zone. So it doesn't matter how much of a percentage drop it is, in this case 14% or in this case 30%, it doesn't matter how much of a drop it is. What matters is where is the demand zone. And if you can visualize the market this way, you're going to be much, much more objective about where things might go. Okay, you're going to have a much more objective outlook about where things might go, and that is going to put you in a much safer position in this market, and I think that's very, very important. Of course, the market bottoms out precisely at this demand zone, and then we kiss it goodbye. We don't actually come back down there for an entire year, basically. Okay, so that's actually where, and then look, the market just rises up to the next supply zone. All right, there's a lot of supply in this zone here. There's a lot of people that want to sell off, rightfully so. This is where we previously sold off. This is where we previously found support. This is where we previously very, very temporarily stopped our downtrend. So of course there's a bit of supply over here. So the market rises up into that supply zone and only into that supply zone, and then gets a bit of a pullback, right? So this is how the market works. The market doesn't work in terms of visualizing this as a massive 42% gain inside of 10 days. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the percent move is. We're talking about Bitcoin, all right? Let's get real, ladies and gents. It doesn't matter what the percent move is, whether it's down or up. The only thing that matters is the fact that Bitcoin rose up into that supply zone, okay? And that's what we see right here as really strongly influencing where the market goes, okay? So now, if we take a look at Bitcoin with that same lens, it is abundantly clear that the only supply zones we have, the only demand zones we have below the current price are at $52,000 and $42, $44, whatever $1,000. Those are the next two key supply zones, demand zones. And it doesn't matter that they're 15% or 30% away. It only matters where they are, because the market doesn't care. When the market moves between these levels, look at how quickly it happens. We're on the daily time frame here, and it takes no more than 3 days to get from $52,000 up above 60K, okay? There is a complete vacuum of nothingness between 52K and 60K. There is absolutely nothing. Sean's really trying to push me to 10K steps, ladies and gents. Where are we at so far? We hit 4,000 earlier. And now we're at 1,500, so I'm nearly at 5K. But I am a little bit tired now, I can't lie. I've been walking for like nearly an hour now. More than that, right? I think so, more than that. Solana did 9 green hourly candles straight back to back. Yeah, we're going to be looking at Solana in just a minute. There's so much we haven't even gone through yet in this live stream. I'm so excited to continue to go through it with you all in this stream. Guys, let's get this up to 500 likes before the S&P 500 opens. I don't know if we can do it. We might not have enough time. The S&P 500 opens in 19 minutes, and we're going to be watching that open to see if it affects Bitcoin. It might not. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you are excited for that, if you're excited for the rest of this live stream, then smash those likes up. Let's get this thing up to 500 before that happens. I'd love that. And if you haven't already subscribed, then make sure that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, because you are, of course, getting the most grounded, realistic analysis that you can find out there right here. And I think that if you don't want to miss it, you definitely got to make sure that YouTube knows you actually want to catch this content. But yeah, supply zones, very, very important. Demand zones, very, very important. And the next ones are a little bit lower from the current price. So I think it really doesn't matter. We don't want to visualize the market in those ways, where it's a big percentage drop, that's scary, stuff like that. That's not going to serve us. The only thing that will serve us is understanding where those support levels are and being indifferent to the percentage drops. Very, very, very important. So if we do collapse, this is the extent of it that I'm seeing. If we fall below 40K, it could get a lot more ugly. I still think that there's phenomenal support. Obviously, the biggest supply zone for Bitcoin is still at 30K. My God, the biggest demand zone for Bitcoin, my bad, is still at 30K. It's the same level that I just showed you on the replay. And this is still the best zone for Bitcoin to bounce off of. The problem, of course, is that it would represent a major crash of 59%. However, we did pull that off last time. We had a 54% drop, you know, and the market was okay. So, you know, it is still a major area of support, and I still can't be too worried about it. If we do end up kind of falling down to that zone and bouncing off. I mean, it would be uncomfortable, but you know, support is still support, and that is the single best support level that we've actually got, full stop. Absolutely the best, right? So it would be huge to backtest it, yeah, but it would also be very, very uncomfortable. I think what would be much more likely is if we did end up doing something like that, like I don't know how we would get there. Let's say we got a small bounce off 52, you know, trade sideways, get a bounce off 54, maybe another bounce that's smaller, and then maybe another bounce that's smaller still, and then we fall down. You know, there could be an extended period here that takes some time, and then we're back up, right? And that would kind of be, you know, a bear market, I guess. Yeah, that would basically be a bear market. You know, but it wouldn't mean that the market is in a bad place. That much I am certain of. That is something I'm certain of. So, you know, and I think it would take so much for this to happen. It would be a much larger macroeconomic discussion. And of course, like I said, that will include things like the S&P 500 as well. So I think that that's important to be keeping in mind. Again, we'll come back to that stuff in just a little bit, but you know, that's a kind of visualization of how I think that could happen. It would probably be, you know, somewhat slow and drawn out, but really not a bad thing at all. Anything below 30k, yeah, I mean, we're getting uncomfortable again. You know, that wouldn't be great. You know, but again, I don't really even think we're getting down there in the first place. Like I struggle to see how Bitcoin can even get to 30k. I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen. You know, and realistically, I think that the support levels that we could kind of keep our eyes on, you know, quite realistically would be 52 and the 40s. Okay, that's what I think. Those are what I think could be very, very important support levels for this market. Meanwhile, let's take a look at altcoins, and we've got something very interesting here. You know, a lot of these altcoins are dropping back down to 2023 price levels. Here is a look at Chainlink, which has started to form a very, very nasty major head and shoulders pattern, which strongly implies a potential $8 price target for Link, which is a further 36% drop. That would happen, you know, very, very quickly if Bitcoin starts to drop, I think. So I think that's important. So there are some, you know, pretty bearish narratives here. You know, I think that one of the things that are interesting is that Bitcoin's dominance hasn't risen up that much during this drop, which is very, very interesting. The fact that Bitcoin's dominance hasn't risen up that much during this drop. To me, the fact that Bitcoin's dominance is falling is telling me that while this drop is happening, people are actually buying altcoins, which is so unusual. You know, people buy altcoins when they're feeling optimistic. Like I said, you know, between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin and altcoins, you only take on more risk when you feel confident to do so, and when you feel optimistic. Okay, so if those two factors are present, then you know, you wouldn't really expect it to happen during a downtrend, but it is happening. So, you know, if there is some kind of underlying confidence in this market here, where, you know, maybe it's big money, I don't know what it is, but, you know, I mean, you are seeing this across the board with a lot of coins. I mean, you know, Ethereum against Bitcoin has picked up a bit of strength here. Let's look at Solana against Bitcoin, which I think has picked up quite a bit of strength. Oh no, it hasn't actually. So I don't know exactly where this dominance drop is coming from. Maybe someone in the comment section can tell me, but, you know, clearly there's a little bit more kind of, maybe it's USDT. If it's USDT, that would explain it. It is USDT. Yeah, there is a pump up for USDT dominance here. So that doesn't really indicate crypto being optimistic. I'd be curious if any of you kind of have an explanation. I'd love to see it. It is weird that Bitcoin's dominance hasn't pumped like crazy. If it's USDT, then there's no conclusion here. You know, it's just more of the same. But if money is moving into altcoins, that actually tells us that there's some optimism here. There's some, you know, kind of reason to be bullish that some people are feeling. And I want to know what that is, because I don't see it. And maybe I'm missing something. So I think that's important. We're seeing Bitcoin drop just a little bit more now. We're back here on the minute time frame here. Just looking at this very, very short-term chart. It's not a very liquid chart. Let's look at this on Coinbase. And I think, yeah, we've got, you know, basically a very small kind of support line here that we've maybe just fallen below. Nothing super important. I wouldn't really look too deeply into this right now. Where are we at? I am going to stop this treadmill again in a second because not only is this slightly tiring, I'm also hungry now. 2,000 steps. That is 5K. I'm very happy with that. At the beginning of the stream, I said 5 to 10K. We're at 5K. I'll turn it back on in a bit, but not right now. How long have we got? We've got 12 minutes for the S&P 500, so that's definitely interesting. We've covered a little bit of altcoin stuff. Let's look at Ethereum against the dollar now. See what's going on with this chart. Of course, it's probably just going to be more of the same that we've seen on Bitcoin. I don't really even look at this chart too much because I think it's so dependent on Bitcoin. But here we are anyway. Let's have some fun with it. And I think, actually, I'm going to let the VPVR do the work for me. Why should I do the work? Let me get this tool to do the work for me. I think that's a fair VPVR. Okay, and we've got a bit of a demand zone here. So we're basically falling into that right now. We've got a good demand zone here. And it just keeps getting better and better. The best one is going to be down here at 1600. So to me, this 1600 price target would be Bitcoin falling down to 40K. If Bitcoin falls down to about 40K, I think that Ethereum could kind of revisit levels like 1600. Again, we've just established that the market sees levels, not percentage drops. So we really can't be scared, by how big of a percentage drop that would be. We just need to understand that if we lose a level of support, we are, very much obligated to fall down to the next one most of the time. And that's how I feel about this, quite confidently. So I think this is a really, really nice support zone for Ethereum. I think it lines up with Bitcoin potentially faking out below 60. So if we do manage to get support at 60, then I think Ethereum's probably just going to fall somewhere into this range down to the $3,000 price level, basically, maybe 2.9 something, and then get a bounce up. And I do still think that that's quite a likely outcome, just given that we are still in this range and we haven't broken market structure. And one of the things I said earlier on in this live stream is that at the support levels, it is easiest to be bearish, but you get paid the most if you're bullish. So even though I think that this support level has been tested a few too many times now, I am still conscious that this is support. And even though we haven't gotten a sharp correction yet, sharp recovery, it might just be the case here that, for example, here on the minute time frame, we're going to basically plunge below this low and do something that looks a little bit like this and then come back up, and then that's it, right? That actually happens quite a bit. Quite often, you just grab a bit of liquidity and then come back up, so I think that's very important in this market, and that's something I'm personally going to be watching out for to see if that happens. But I think kind of based off that, there's still a lot of opportunity for Bitcoin to actually bounce up off this price level now, and if that does end up happening, then yeah, we could be looking at a nice recovery beginning here. So I think that, like I said earlier on in the stream, the dollar kind of is on our side right now. The dollar is dropping a little bit right now, even as we speak. The dollar is dropping, so the dollar is not having a great day on this index here. This should be bullish for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin seems like it's kind of decoupled from some of these, in this case, this inverse correlation. So I think that's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. We do have just 8 minutes left now. Until the S&P 500 opens, so it's not a guarantee. A lot of the time we don't see anything at all, but sometimes we do see something very interesting. So we will be looking out for that. Welcome to the live stream, Jamie. Just joined the stream. Any clue what's causing the drop? I don't even think it matters what's causing the drop. I think what matters is just the technical analysis we can do, because any narratives that you can be told are typically lies. But the chart that you can see is the same information that everybody has access to. Whether you're completely broke and unsuccessful or you're the most successful trader in the market, you still have access to the same charts. Broadly speaking, there are some charts that have extra dimensions that we don't typically look at, but I don't think they're that important either. But actually, on that note, let's look at them. Let's look at them anyway. Let's see if there's anything interesting from this particular perspective. This is Bitcoin's open interest, and we have seen open interest drop quite a bit. Let's see if the CVD is showing us. Yeah, so shorts are opening with open interest going down. So sorry guys, just planning out food because I'll be heading off this stream probably shortly after the S&P 500 opens. We have been live now for nearly an hour and a half, so that's a pretty good stream so far. But I think what this is showing us pretty clearly now is CVD going down means shorts are opening, or that shorts are taking place. It means shorts are taking place. But open interest going down means that positions are closing. Okay, so when we've got that, that's just telling us longs are closing. So shorts are taking place while positions are closing. That means that means people who have gone long are now going short in order to close their position. And we covered this before. If you've got an active position of Bitcoin, if you went from a position of 0 Bitcoin to 1 Bitcoin, the only way you can close that position is by selling it now. So any positions where you're already holding Bitcoin, they need to be they need to be closed if you're you've got your stop losses being hit and stuff like that. And I think that's what we're seeing. So again, like I said earlier, we're not actually seeing because Jamie, you're asking why is the dump happening? A lot of the time when people ask that, they want a narrative, they want a news headline, they want something to point to. But realistically, what actually is happening is usually a lot simpler than that. The news narratives, the news agencies will still tell you reasons, right? They're still going to act like they know what they're doing. They obviously fucking don't, but they'll still act like they do. But the reality is that they've actually got, 5, 10, 500, 1,000 news articles, reasons locked and loaded, ready to go. I mean, there's the Mt. Gox thing going on right now as well, where there's a potential Mt. Gox announcement that's just about to come in. Here we are. Look at this right here. Mt. Gox to begin repayments in July. Bitcoin slides under $61,000. So those of you that don't know, Mt. Gox was a crypto exchange that went bust in like 2014. Yeah, right here. And now I think like there's the U.S. government involved and stuff like that, and they're returning over $140,000 Bitcoin to the victims of the hack back then. So there's a lot of questions about, there's going to be a lot of supply re-entering the market now. And if a lot of supplies re-enter the market, a lot of supply of Bitcoin re-enters the market, are we going to see a drop for Bitcoin? Now, the thing to note about this narrative, and, those of you that have been around for a while, I want you to kind of back me up here in the live chat because most of you probably have never heard of Mt. Gox. But the thing that I want you guys, if you have been around for all this time, to back me up on in the live chat is that this particular Mt. Gox narrative has existed for so many years now. And it's like anytime they want to engineer a dump, they will just lock and load and spin out the same narrative again, okay? Whether it's India banning Bitcoin, Russia banning mining, China banning mining, an exchange's office getting raided, a U.S. regulation or something like that, but obviously that narrative is going now because the U.S. election is kind of based on crypto, right? Well, it's not based on crypto at all, but they're trying to use crypto as a bargaining chip to get more votes, so they're not really cracking down on crypto that much anymore. But there's always the same reasons locked and loaded, ready to go, and Mt. Gox has been one of those for so many years. Let me know in the live chat if you've actually observed this for all this time, because I think that is... and it's never actually happened yet. It's the same. Delilah, shout out to Delilah in the live chat. Good morning. The Mt. Gox thing had been going on for years. We've got another viewer saying same old stories recycled for years now. Clarence is saying since 2017. True, and with the news comes the dip. So these news agencies have no idea what the hell is going on. Either that or they're actually engineering the moves themselves. But in either case, they shouldn't be listened to for people who want information because they're not useful. You know, and they just spin out the same narratives over and over and over. Okay, this Mt. Gox thing of, you know, 140,000 Bitcoins hitting the market hasn't happened for years, but it's been a constant looming threat for years. Almost like war or any other narrative where governments and media agencies want you to be scared. Nothing ever happens, and what you notice is that if you're the person who does pick up the newspaper and pay attention to what's going on in the world versus your friend who doesn't give a shit and just gets on with life, you're probably a hell of a lot more miserable than they are. You're probably a hell of a lot more pessimistic than they are, and you're not actually any better off than them because you're actually, you know, consuming constant fear narratives and nothing is actually happening, you know, and your friend is just kind of getting on with life, and, you know, you've just watched them have a kid and they've got a dog that's happy and everything like that, and you're still kind of reading the same, you know, bullshit news that you've been reading for many, many years. Like, that does actually happen to a lot of us. It probably has happened to all of us at some point. You know, and it's very, very important to keep that in mind because, you know, if you listen to, you know, people talking about this years ago and you actually sold your Bitcoin based off it, I mean, my goodness, where would you be? You would have sold your Bitcoin at such a beautiful time to be holding it, right? So I'm not saying that this time is different or isn't different. You know, it's clearly a risk. What have we got here? It will start to distribute assets stolen in the first week of July. So, you know, could that be the narrative? Could that be the reason? Maybe. Does it matter? Hell no. Absolutely not. You know, but I think that it's important to keep these things in mind anyway, because people will get unnecessarily scared of these things and they don't actually have to. We are now 1 minute, 30 seconds away from seeing the S&P 500 open here. So let's take a quick look at what does end up happening for the S&P 500. Ladies and gents, if you've made it this far into the live stream, smash those likes up. We were aiming for 500. We didn't quite get there. We're just sitting at 400 right now. But if you do appreciate these streams, do me a favor and smash them up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We've got the dollar crashing apparently. So that is interesting. Let's see if the dollar is actually crashing. Yes, it is. Though it's not crashing necessarily, but it is definitely dropping pretty hard. So hopefully that means a bullish open for the S&P 500 in the next few seconds. Let's see what we've got here. Just waiting for this to open up, and we're live with a small gap down. Nothing big at all for the S&P 500 here. So we're going to keep watching this over the next minutes, over the next kind of 15, 20, 30 minutes until I end this live stream. You know, just to see if there are any particularly interesting opening moves here for the S&P 500. So far, a very, very small gap down. Really nothing to be worried about at all. So that is definitely good. I'm curious to see what's happening with NVIDIA at this stage as well. And NVIDIA has gapped down here. So we have seen a small dip for NVIDIA today. Let's take a look at some of our other favorites. Apple is down by just a little bit as well. Nothing crazy. It's a bit of a red day. It is a bit of a red day. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla does its own thing. Tesla doesn't care. Meta is up as well. Google's kind of up a little bit. What about Microsoft? Because I think Microsoft's been quite interesting. And it looks like Microsoft has had a very small dip right here. Come back to the S&P 500. Yeah, nothing crazy here. Nothing crazy, nothing untoward or anything like that. So that's definitely good. Do I think miners are screwed? I think you mean Bitcoin miners, not child miners. And I don't think so. I think, you know, there are always miner doomsday narratives as well. And nothing ever happens with that either. So I just don't think that that's anything to be worried about either at the moment in this market. Yeah, so let's move it back to the Bitcoin chart here, and you know, we're not seeing anything crazy going on here. We are starting to defend this level a little bit, but we're not getting the strong defense that I would have loved to see. So you know, I don't know how confident I can be that this is actually going to hold up in this market. We're at 420 likes. Brilliant. Absolutely sick. Again, I do want to highlight to you guys that Blowfin is running a phenomenal campaign right now where you can sign up without doing any KYC to trade and stuff like that. No pictures of yourself or your ID, and you have a chance to win a motorbike based off your trading volume. So if you've traded you know, above certain numbers, you win these things. It's a guaranteed thing. It's not like a chance. It's guaranteed. It's based off taker volume. So that means mainly market orders, if I'm not mistaken. and the Tesla Model 3 right here up for grabs. So that is super, super cool that you've got such amazing things that you could win by trading in these markets. An Apple Watch SE. I love Apple Watches. They're the best watches in my opinion. They're not as classy as normal watches, but my God, they are so useful. In fact, my favorite feature of the Apple Watch, first of all, I've actually got the Bitcoin chart here on the Apple Watch. Can you guys see that? I can't show it to you properly, but you can actually see that right here. We've got the Bitcoin chart, but I can also ring my phone with it, right? So if I don't know where my phone is, I'm not going to do it now. It's probably going to be very painful for those of you wearing headphones, but if I don't know where my phone is, I can actually ring my phone and it's just going to like play a sound on my phone so I can like find it when it's stuck in the sofa or whatever. And it will even show me how many feet away I am from my phone. Like I was reading up on like people's favorite features of Apple. Like, Apple Watches are very advanced now. And the number one thing that people agreed on was the best feature was finding your phone, which is super, super cool. Because, you'll never lose your watch, right? It's on your wrist, but your phone can be anywhere. I don't know. You got to pick up your baby and you leave your phone on the kitchen counter and now you're in the living room, Like it can happen. It's very normal. So I found that to be very, very useful. And yeah, you have that up for grabs just for the next 10 days based on your trading volume. So super, super cool promo there that they're running. You can do that in the background while you are watching this stream. And it is super, super quick to get started on there as well. So that's cool. We're seeing a little move up here on Bitcoin. So let's take a look at that. That is definitely interesting. I'm obviously a bit of a tech geek. I think you guys can tell that much. And of course, by the way, I do want to highlight that, you can't get any of these bonuses until you start trading, including, the cash bonuses that they offer as well. So you do have to make your deposit and start trading to get them. But as soon as you've done that, you're good to go. So there we go. We're seeing a small move up here for Bitcoin. Let's see if we can breach this high at 61.5. Basically the top of this box. If we can get above this high, I think that would be huge for the market. And that would probably be very, very good for Bitcoin to start recovering back up. So we'll see how this goes in the next couple of minutes. It looks like the S&P 500 did gap down, but it's recovering a bit of that. So we'll see how this goes for Bitcoin. It looks like Bitcoin so far is moving the way the S&P 500 is, at least a little bit. What have we got in the live chat? BlackRock and the like have totally killed the spirit of crypto. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, I don't want to sit around and be upset about it, man. This is life. This is what happens. What do you expect? I mean, I don't think that that's too surprising. Unfortunately, it's okay. What can we do? We can just make money off it. Who cares, man? You and I both know. Actually, you maybe, but you and I both know that most people in this crypto market don't care about Bitcoin or the tech. They just want to make money. So fuck it, man. Like, yeah, it's sad. I'm sad about it, man. I'm a true Bitcoin believer, both from the tech perspective and from the philosophy perspective. It is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, other than a Porsche. And thank God I can buy Porsches with Bitcoin, so I get both. But it is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, and I am heartbroken by what's happened in the space. But ultimately, I know I wouldn't be here if there was no money in it. I would want to, but I'd have to make money somehow. And so too would you and everybody else watching this live stream. We're not here. This is a purely price action based YouTube channel. We don't look at anything else other than prices of traditional finance and crypto. So, we don't care about that as much as we care about making money off it. And the good news, Maximus, is that even though that's really sad, we have amazing opportunities to make money off this market right now. And that's what I want to focus on, because that's the only thing we can do anyway. So that's how I feel about it. Watched you for years, Sammy. I will watch you going forward. I was here with you with Mountain Gox. Wow, there you go. Visions by Karen. Thank you very, very much for being a long-time supporter of the channel. Everyone's asking me to look at XRP. I hate XRP. You guys know me, my opinion on that, but Let's look at it anyway. I mean, there's nothing going on. Everyone's saying it's bouncing. There's nothing going on. This is a dead chart. It's got support here, though. So that's good, I guess. It's definitely got support here. I mean, you know, this is the bounce zone. But how is that different to any other chart right now? I don't think... it's just worse because it didn't even move up, you know, to get here. But, yeah, I think, you know, it's... maybe at best going to trace the rest of crypto. It looks like Bitcoin's getting a bit comfortable up here, though. So this could be a sign that actually we're going to be breaking that resistance zone. So that's definitely interesting. Yeah, every chart is the same. Exactly. Completely agree. You're the only one. You're the only one of the only people that really knows what he's talking about. And I'm a chick, by the way. Well, thank you very much, Bitcoin chick. I appreciate it. I'm inclined to agree with you. I think, at least here on YouTube, I am one of the only ones, at least with a big channel, because a lot of the other people with big channels just peddle complete bullshit. But like I said earlier on in the stream, I don't get paid if I'm wrong. You know, I don't get paid to market gimmicks that make you guys lose money and shit like that. I really should. I'd make way more money if I did. But I don't. And because of that, I play by the same rules you guys play by. And you guys only make money if you're right and if you put your money in the right direction. And it's the same for me. So I'm forced to be good at this. Doesn't mean I am good at it, but I try my best. I do my best every single day, and I think I do okay. I think I do quite okay. Sammy, I love everything about your content except your opinion on XRP. Keep up the great content. Well, I love everything about your comment other than your opinion of XRP. That's how I feel, dude. Yeah, no, I have no love for XRP at all. I was just talking to Maximus about how heartbroken I am by what's happened in the space, and XRP, you know, stands for everything against crypto. And it doesn't even have a capped supply, so it's just BS, and it doesn't even make you money at the end of the day. Like, I mean, you know, come on. At the end of the day, at least make money off it if it fails everything else. But it's just a complete joke. The only reason people like XRP is because it looks cheap, because there's so many of them. Yeah, that's how I feel about all that. But yeah, what else do I need to go over that I haven't gone through with you guys yet? So we've got this little Bitcoin descending channel, which we've fallen out of now, unfortunately. So it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And we've also got a potential short setup because of that. If Bitcoin is able to rise back up, there could be a short here as well. So, you know, different people are going to be moving toward different things. I think people who are bearish are going to be inclined on shorting this. People who are bullish are going to be inclined on taking the more macro long position. That might look a little bit more like this. Again, neither of these are positions I would take. I just don't like taking risk with this particular type of trade. But, you know, different people are different. So I think that's important. Obviously, you know, there's so much free money to trade with. Those of you that have taken advantage of these offers, you're just laughing all the way to the bank, because like here on Bybit, you get up to $30,000 in free trading capital when you start trading, after you've made your deposit and start trading, which is absolutely sick. This is a KYC platform, but it's the best in the game. And I think it's definitely the best place to be trading on. And just so much free ammunition to be throwing into the market to trade with, which is amazing. And those of you in Europe, you can actually get the Bybit debit card. You can spend your crypto in the real world, which is sick. I've been using the Bybit debit card now for like 6-9 months, something like that. And it is super, super cool. Yeah, XRP, a lot of these coins that you say are fast and cheap are fast and cheap because nobody uses them. You come to this channel for truth bombs. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. You just don't get that here. Your shit coins are fast and cheap because nobody uses them. That is the truth. There are exceptions. There are exceptions. Let's look at Solana, speaking of exceptions. Solana's chart looks pretty clear to me. We've got a really nice zone of support here at $115, $117 around here. Really nice bounce zone here from back in 2021, really nice resistance zone from 2022. And we continue to battle this particular area in 2024 as well. We've already found support off it twice during these drops. So I think that there could be another slide down for Solana. It's already bounced off a key level. Somebody pointed out earlier we've had 9 straight candles trending up, which is absolutely correct. We've had 9 candles here, or 8, where we've trended up continuously. So, you know, that's very, very strong, and that could imply that the low is in. So if you feel like the low is in, you know, then there is a lot more upside here. I don't know. I don't like to place bets like that personally. It did fall down to a nice level, though. It did fall down to 122, which was absolutely great. But I think that this might not be over yet, so I'm going to continue to watch this. We did see something very similar to this last time, where we got a very nice, it wasn't as many, but we got a very nice series of upward candles after we bottomed out at literally the exact same price level, literally down to the dollar. It's just like $1 away from where we bottomed out today. We bounced off the same price level. We had a nice recovery, and then we dipped even further, and that was the liquidity grab, and then the market came up. So could that happen again? I don't know, but is it probable? Is it possible? More specifically, more accurately, is it possible? Hell yeah, it's definitely possible. So, you know, that's something I'd be watching out for, but I remain quite bullish on Solana. I think the narrative is very strong. I definitely think that the meme coin narrative in particular has been exhausted to some extent, or to a large extent, on Solana here. You know, here is a look at Daddy from Tate, obviously one of the funnier meme coins here. You know, and it has recovered quite nicely. So, you know, that there are, but it's already dropped by quite a bit. This isn't complete price history here. Where can I get price history on this token? Does anyone know which chart I should look at? Surely some of you will know. I don't know which chart has price history. I don't look at this shit usually. Here, this one has more price history. So we've seen, you know, a recovery, and this is kind of representative of a lot of other meme coins that have really moved up over the recent, you know, weeks. You know, so there has been a bit of a recovery, but, you know, I think that there is, you know, still a lot more that needs to be done. You know, and because of that, you know, I do think that the Solana meme coin narrative has been exhausted to some extent, but, you know, I think that there could still be some more juice left in it. You know, so I think that there's a lot going for Solana. That's just one angle that makes Solana interesting. There's obviously many more, including the fact that it's just a loved coin. It's like the white knight of crypto right now. Everybody seems to love it. Everyone's making money off it, or a lot of people have, and it's been relatively easy compared to other coins. So I think that, you know, Solana's got a lot of love in crypto right now, and because of that, I'm definitely, you know, interested in it. You know, I was speaking to a friend yesterday about some spot buys, you know, and I think that regardless of if Solana will drop down from here, this is a phenomenal zone to be looking at some spot buys, just because of good, you know, just good practice. I mean, this is a really, really nice macro zone of support. We don't typically spend too long down here. So I think that, you know, just good risk, you know, just not even risk management, but good practice would tell a lot of people to buy here. Am I buying here? No, I still think we get lower price levels. I don't know if we would get lower price levels on Solana in particular, but I don't really care. I'm not really an altcoin person anyway. But, you know, I think that, yeah, like I said, different people have different opinions on these, and I'm just kind of telling you what they probably would be thinking at these times here. Ladies and gents, I'm going to get going relatively soon. I have not eaten yet, and I am very hungry, so I'm going to have to go get myself some food in a little bit. If we have any final macro questions or Bitcoin questions, anything else that we want to talk about, then please let me know in the live chat now. If you have enjoyed the stream up to this point, smash those likes up, and let me know if you've been here since the beginning. Because we do still have just over 500 viewers in this stream. I want to know how many of you guys were here since the very, very beginning. Shout out to those of you that were. I do appreciate you sticking around with me here for now nearly 2 hours on this stream. Is it normal to dip this much? Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's very, very normal. All you have to do is look at Bitcoin's history. USDT dominance. I have looked at that already, and it has definitely, you know, kind of gained a bit of strength, which, you know, is the same thing as saying money has left crypto. It's not actually the same thing, because it actually means that money is like that money is a lot easier to put back into crypto. So that money is out of crypto, but it wants to get back in. And I think that actually tells us a lot. PW's been here since the beginning. Alan from the beginning. Absolutely amazing. Great stream, by the way, Sammy. Thanks for all again, bro. Feeling secure with you in the space. Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that very much. I'm here with you guys. You know, when the market gets heated, I'm here. You're gonna hear the same thing from me every time because my opinions don't actually change that much. But you know, if it's useful for you guys to be reminded of that, then I have no problem doing it. That is how I feel about this. I'm not gonna look at other altcoins. Someone is asking for Cardano. Let me just see if it's different. But I think most altcoins look the same now. So, you know, there's not really much for me to say about these coins. So I'm not really gonna bother doing unique analysis on charts that are not unique. What can I say? I mean, you know, if it falls, it's got a big drop. That's all I can say about this chart. KitKat New Zealand just found me, just joined and subscribed. Thanks for sharing your wisdoms. You're very, very welcome. Thank you. I should have kept the treadmill on. I know, but I'll hit the 10K afterwards. I gotta get some food in now. And I'll do the steps outside. I prefer walking outside anyway. Some of you guys were talking about that in the live chat. When is the next stream? Love them. Also, you got yourself a new sub. Thank you very much. The next live stream will be, just whenever there's volatility. I mean, whenever there's a lot of movement in the market, I'm live. So I don't really plan them. I've got a pretty easy lifestyle. I'm free whenever I need to be. So, you know, I'm here ready for you, ready to you know, talk to you guys about this stuff whenever I need to be. And otherwise, in the meantime, I'll be uploading videos too. So that's why it's really important that you guys do subscribe if you want to get access to this content when it's coming out, while it's very time sensitive, obviously. Because if you don't subscribe, if you don't click that bell icon next to the subscribe button down here, then you're not going to be able to be notified when these live streams happen. You can also join my Telegram channel, which is linked right here. And over here, I also tell you guys about you know, when I'm going live and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty useful for a lot of people. That's linked right there. Definitely join that Telegram channel. You get more free analysis from myself and my team around the clock straight to your phone. So that is really, really good. Miami, Florida, here from the beginning. Shout out to you, Lewis. Really appreciate the support, dude. Cheers for the stream. You're very, very welcome. Fact-based, not hype. Well done. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much, Tyler. Chris, excellent stream. Thank you. Yep, good stream start to finish. And thank you for your comment, dude. Very, very grounded, and I appreciate that. I like to be able to share that with viewers. So thanks for sharing your thoughts. Best thing about your stream, prompt lives. I don't understand what you're saying. Really appreciate it. That's why I subscribe. Been tuning in almost each stream. Thank you very much, though. I do appreciate that. Oh, prompt lives. You mean like they happen at the right time? Okay, yeah. It would be cool if you could plan the volatility. That would be a handy party trick. Well, I'll tell you what. In my experience, volatility typically gets bunched in with volatility. So when you get a period of high volatility, you're probably going to get more immediately afterwards. That's my experience. So, you know, the next live stream might be relatively soon. You know, if it's going to be later today, it'll be later today. If it's tomorrow, it'll be tomorrow. But yeah, no walking today. What happened to my new habits? I've been walking for the first like hour and a bit, and I just got a bit tired. Can everyone hit the like buttons? Decent live stream. Thanks, Sammy. You're very, very welcome, Sean. Thank you, guys. All right, ladies and gents, I'm going to be heading off. Thank you all for tuning in. Would I buy this dip? I mean, if I had more money to buy Bitcoin with, then yes. I don't, so no. Been here many years. Used to be in pro also. Top work, Sammy. Amazing. Thank you very, very much. Hit the likes to 500 before we leave. That'd be sick. That'd be sick. Thank you all very, very much. And yeah, I'll see you in the Telegram channel. I'll see you right there after this stream. Check out the beautiful offers you've got available to you all. Yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.